What's going on is the objective jerk, and I am said jerk. What's going on? It's been a while. I've been busy. Just kind of going somewhere, doing something every day. So it just kind of, the time I record the most is when I'm just kind of at home with nothing to do, and so then I'll get like bam, 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 bunch of episodes recorded, but. Yeah, I had a little bit of a break, I guess. I still had like 40 minutes worth, I think, on my last month. And I wanted to do at least one more episode to get close, but I didn't. I just got busy doing stuff. But good busy, it's not like it was like chaotic or anything like that. It's just good stuff, I guess. Yesterday, man. So, a little more mountain biking. Well, before I get into my mountain biking. So I don't really plan on talking about politics or any kind of news headlines that are going on right now. So if you're one of those that likes my takes on that, I'm sorry, but I don't know. I seem to always end up throwing something in there, right? Like the stupid WhatsApp or not WhatsApp, whatever the thing where the journalist was able to access the meeting with Secretary of Defense and all this kind of I don't know. It's just kind of a weird situation, but not going to talk about it. No. It does kind of seem like somebody messed up in the Trump. How did they get that guy? There's somebody kind of screwed up. But what's funny is this guy, when you look at what they charged Trump with, having, I don't know the lingo and stuff, but it's the exact same thing that this journalist has or done. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of funny. Stupid liberals. Anyway, so living here in the Philippines, right? I tried and share instead of me just oh, it sucks to drive here. So I think I've talked about it before. The water system. So they have city water here, but it's not 100% reliable. So most people that have city water also have a well, because where we live in the island, you dig a well, you're going to hit water, most likely. We have a pretty good one here where we live, which is probably why, that's why a lot of crops and farms were started here, because they had good access to well water. But then it's more and more people are building houses on these properties and stuff. So when I moved here, there was the house next to me and then the other house over there kind of next to me. And there was just nothing but farm across the street, open field. Now it's there's a house across the street. There's a house right there. It's it's going up crazy just like it does in the States kind of, I guess, But so we just have well water. And we could put in city water, but it would cost a lot to run the line. And then again, it's just, I don't know, it's just not really worth it. If they were putting it in, if they were running a line down the street or something and hey, do you want to have city water, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I would do it, but I'm not going to go out of my way to pay to have it. Because when we moved here, there was no internet. They had Globe, wireless kind of whatever, and it kind of sucked. We paid extra to have fiber optic ran to our house. So then once we did that, people could get on behind us. And then they just kind of kept it going and stuff. So we paid a little extra to have it brought to our house, And it'd be a lot more to run a water line, so not going to happen. Anyway, so we have well water, and I've talked about before, the well water here is very hard. Eats up metal. It's corrosive. It's filled with algae and hardness. So we do have a little simple little water filter. Just 3 filters that we we try to change out every month, but sometimes it's 2 months or something. But so we'll change those out, and it helps kind of keep the water a little cleaner, than if we hadn't. But regardless, though, it's still kind of stuff builds up, So every couple months, I need to like when I change out the filters, which is what I just did, is I'll throw a bunch of vinegar in the last filter cylinder. And then I used to do it with the showers too, because they have the showers here, but like the water heater was like the water would come, hit the heater, and then the heater would heat up the water, and then you'd take the shower right from there. So it was like a little, and it worked great at first, but I think the hard water was hard on them. And so I used to, do the vinegar thing, and I'd run the showers to clean the shower heads and this, and everything. But after a while, it's just they kind of quit working. They wouldn't heat up, and so we just been doing the old school Filipino tabu, which is just you have a bucket in your shower, you fill it with the spigot or the faucet. They call everything faucet here, whether it's outside or not. And then you just have like a little pail, and you bathe yourself. So that's what we've been doing for almost a year now, I want to say. And it's fine, really. Sometimes though I miss having be able to sit there and stand underneath a hot shower. Yeah, sometimes. But it's so hot here that I don't know. But when it is colder in the wintertime, like what we just got done doing, my morning routine was I'd get up, make myself coffee, and I start putting kettles on the stove to heat up some water to add to the kids' bucket of water so they can have a hot shower, or tabu is what they call it. But now it's getting hot, so it's going to be less of that. So it's like springtime here, but it's hot as hell. At least, compared to what it normally is. So, so they do have water heaters here. It's just not, it's not like in the States where every house has a hot water heater. You can get some smaller ones or like a big one, which I think we're thinking about doing eventually. But anyway, so I was just doing my changing out the filters, and I was putting vinegar, and I run the washer, let the washer run with that vinegar to really kind of clean out the washer and everything. And just some stuff like is not the housing for the filters are just kind of wearing out, the threads, so water's kind of leaking, and you could just see they're just deteriorating, And so I had to put some plumber's tape on the thread this time and got it to work, but I don't got much longer. So I mean, we have like a well house, but it's not finished. It's just like an area where they dug the well initially when they built this house, and that's where the water pump is. And then we built like a little tower on top of it and put a tank to keep water in there, because when we first got here, we were running out of water a lot. So we had that tank for when we run out of water, then we just do gravity fed and have some water. You know what I mean? And when we run out of water, it's not for very long. It's maybe like a day or something. You just have to turn off everything. But what it ended up happening is like the water level will sometimes for a minute get below where the water pump nozzle, whatever the end of it is at. So if it drops below that and then comes back up, it gets this air pocket in the line and it won't fill up with water. So you have to turn it off, you have to prime it, and stuff like that. So it's like we don't like not have water for long periods of time or anything like that. It's just so when we got here and we were kind of having problems with it, we were like, man, let's just put up a tank. So we'll always have water. So when there's no water, we'll have gravity fed. So we got something, but we haven't even used the gravity tank for like over 2 years now. So, we got to get that frame little tower, which we spent some money on the metal, steel. They're going to have to cut that out. I don't know how they're going to do that, but we're going to have to hire somebody, get that tower out of here. And I think we're going to just take it to the farm where we have some goats and stuff. Looking to get some more animals, but maybe put it there so there's the water tank, so there's some gravity fed for the animals or something. I don't know. We got to figure something out. But anyway, so remove that and then finish that building, the well house, close it, put a roof, put a door, and then get a new pump, get uh, like a water softener, water filtration, just like do it up inside that little well house, and then put new lines to the house, and Bob's your uncle. There we go. Good to go. So that's kind of the plan. It's a lot of money, but I don't want to have to buy the filter system that we have now again. I mean, it wasn't like super expensive, but it's not cheap either. So it's like, I'm going to spend some money. Let's do it right. Because my wife wants to get a dishwasher. She misses having a dishwasher. She didn't grow up with a dishwasher, obviously. And then living in the States, she was like, man, this is nice. So she kind of misses that. And to be honest, so do I. So not that she's the only one that does dishes. She actually sucks at doing dishes. Like when I do dishes, I'm a little anal retentive. So it takes me longer to do. So, if there's a big pile of dishes and my wife does it, she'll get through, she'll do them. And then if my kids do it, probably similar. But when I do it, I'm meticulous. I'm a little slower, but my dishes, when they're done, they're like crystal clear and they're clean, because I constantly clean out my sponge as I'm doing dishes. You know what I mean? Like, I hate when people put the sponge in like dirty water so it sits there. You know what I mean? So there's like little things I'm a little anal about. I'm not like a neat freak or anything, but there are certain things that just... So when I do dishes, I sit there, I do like all the plates first. I'll wash them and get nice and soapy. Rinse my hands, make sure that they're all nice and clean. Go through, and then I do bowls, and then whatever. You know what I mean? Like I do it in a certain way, and I do it really well. Like my wife will clean like a dirty plate, right? Like maybe there's some food on it, but she'll scrub it, whatever, and then she'll set it aside to rinse later. But there's still the stuff that was on that plate is still in the sponge, and she uses that to clean the next plate. And I'm like, no, man, you got to rinse that out. You got to rinse it. And then add some more soap if you need to or whatever. So I go through more soap. But when like my wife does the dishes or the kids, you'll go to put dishes away and the glasses are spotty and some stuff is kind of greasy, like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, ugh. It's like I get tired of doing the dishes all the time. But at the same time, it's like, I like them done right, So yeah, a dishwasher would be nice. Because I'm tired of either doing them myself or having dirty, clean dishes. So...
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thanks again for listening to The Objective Jerk. I greatly appreciate it. If you could like, subscribe, comment on wherever you're finding this, and you can also email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. So hope you're enjoying it, and please continue on with the episode. But yeah, so that's kind of the plan. Get that water. I just got done doing it, and I called her. I was like, we might have to do that sooner than later, because that thing, like, I never had any problems with it, and then all of a sudden water, I put everything together, and I turn on the water, and there's water squirting at me, and I'm like, what the hell? So I had to put plumber's tape, and then I noticed the little release valve is kind of leaking, and I'm just like, and you can just tell it's just from the sun, and we've had it there almost since we moved in. Those filters, they've lasted a good while, over 4 years or something. So, I mean, they definitely worth their money, I think. But yeah, it's time to upgrade. Speaking of upgrading, all right, so now on to the bike. Holy crap, man. So, a month ago or so or whatever, I got a new drivetrain for my bike. And so everything was good, right? So my bike is a size, I don't even understand. Like all this, every like brand has different sizes, and it's just annoying. But so I have a Specialized, and it's a 19, which is like a large. But that's a large back in 2008. Not so much a large now. You know what I mean? It's not as long. And so, but my bike is good. I love my bike. So my plan was to maybe eventually buy a bigger size frame and start buying stuff for that. And maybe within like a year or something, I'll have a new bike, hardtail that's a little bigger, and then while still keeping my Specialized, right? So I decided to upgrade my son's bike a little bit. I bought him like a cheap front suspension fork. It's still air. I mean, it's good enough, but it's more on the cheaper side, And then what did I get him? He got new hubs, new wheels, and new tires for his bike. And then while I was doing that, I was like a little impulsive, and I bought myself a dropper post. And it's a good dropper post. It's pretty. I mean, it's not like super expensive, but it's a few $100. And so I bought this dropper post. And I'm like, I'm going to put this on my bike. And I have an older dropper post, which was more on the cheap side. So it doesn't have the inner cable system. It's like out, And so I'm like, I'm going to get that one fixed for my son. So he gets a dropper post, and I got a dropper post and everybody's happy, right? So I buy this dropper post and I didn't think, but I got I open it and then it's like, oh crap, it's internal. Well, so my bike is 2008. It's not really set up to have internal cables in it, right? So, and you have to, because it comes from the bottom of the post from inside the tube, the seat tube, So I had to figure out how I was going to get the cable out. So that means I was going to have to drill a hole in the frame. Not happy about. And then run the cable up to my, gear shift so I can use it. So I did some research, did some planning, did some thinking. And what I did is I drilled a small hole in the bottom end of my seat tube on the backside. So it would come out there. And then I just had the cable run in the same channels that my front derailleur system was on. Because the bike came with a front derailleur and it had the 3 gears up front, and then you had like 6 or 8 in the back or whatever. So I removed that and had just the single gear in the front, and then got, so updated and upgraded my drivetrain and everything. So then it removes, all the gear shifting from the left and all the cabling for it. So, but it still has those little components on the frame and everything. So I just, I ran it on there and I'm like, oh, this will work out great. Cool. But the thing is, I couldn't leave the covering, the sleeve, or what do they call it? The part that goes over the cable, the black part, the cable slides it through. So I had the cable come out so far, and then I had to cut it, and it was just the cable underneath it, like the original derailleur cable, and then it would get up to the front at the headstock, and then go right back into the cover, the cable. Am I making sense? And then it would go into the little toggle switch, and everything was good, right? So I had it all set up. I was all happy. I'm like, all right, this is going to be awesome. I go to stick my dropper post in, and it doesn't fit. My old school dropper post size is like 30.9. And the new standard kind of dropper post is 31.6. So it kind of was like really close. I put a little bit of grease on to see if maybe I could kind of work it in there. And it went in a little bit, but it wasn't going to work. So I was like, crap. And then I could not get the damn thing out. So to get it out, I had to get like a big crescent wrench to kind of tighten it around the end and kind of tap it so it would come out, And doing that kind of scratched up the dropper post, And then me cutting the black sleeves, the bike shop was like, we can't really take that back. And which I understood, I was like, oh. So I was just like, I was pissed at myself. Like, how the fuck did I not think to look at the size? Like, I just totally brain farted all that. It's like something I knew, but I didn't even think about it. I don't know if it's because I was just excited to get a good dropper post. I don't know. So I was pissed. I was pissed at myself. And then the bike shop's like, well, we can get you a frame that will fit the dropper post. And I'm like, man, fuck you. I spent so much money with this bike shop. But they were like, she sent me some pictures of these frames, and she says, they're cheaper frames, but they're well built. And these ones in particular have some minor scratches, so they're even cheaper. So they're like 3,500 pesos. So that's like $50 roughly, right? Which is like, I'm like, I don't know about that. That seems a little too cheap. You know what I mean? But they look good. And I did some research on them. And from what I can tell, they seem to be decent. They're just like a cheaper brand that's not branded, and 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 it's like the only frame I guess they have that's for like enduro mountain trail riding, like, which is what I do. Most of the frames and most of the stuff they have there is just people ride on the road with their like all-terrain tires. I mean, they can go on dirt roads and stuff, but most people ride their bikes on the road, which I don't understand because people here are so bad at driving. I don't know how there's more people on bikes dead on the road. So I won't ride on the road. I just don't trust people here. But I don't, even without that, I never liked ride. I like riding on the trail. I like being in the woods, and that's what I like to do. And, some of the problems I had when I first got here was I trusted there was other bike shops, and I was like, hey, I need to get this. And I was kind of like, I just kind of figured that them seeing me, big guy, whatever, that they would, I don't know. I just put a little too much faith in them, but they were putting, I had like cheaper derailleurs and cheaper stuff that's more for just road riding, not for aggressive trail riding. Because I'm a big guy, so just my weight is going to be hard on my bike, on everything. And then, I don't sit there and go off huge jumps and, big drop-offs or anything like that. I mean, I go over some small stuff and this and that. But I do ride aggressively, downhill and doing some, so the bike needs to be pretty good for that. So I went through a period of breaking derailleurs and all this kind of stuff. And I was like trying to like, what's going on? Help me out here. It's like I don't know. So finally, I already talked about it, but I got to a point where it's like I gotta get Shimano, just pull the plug and just get it, and maybe do things myself. So I did all that. I talked about it before, drivetrain. I put all that in, and so everything was good. My bike was good. Fast forward to now, my dropper posts don't work, and this dropper post was expensive, and I couldn't return it. So I was like, maybe I can sell it. I was like, oh. But then so like I said, the bike shop's like, hey, what about this frame? So I did as much research as I could, but most of the videos, so there's lots of brands of various things like bikes that are over here in Pacific, Asia, whatever, that you don't find in the States. Yes, they have, Giant or Specialized, you can get those bikes, but they also have their own that are here, right? So it's like, I don't know. Like I see them, like Mountain Peak is one, and some other stuff, and I don't know if they're good or not. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. And so I did as much research as I could, but most like the YouTube channels that were talking about it, somebody who's talking about the frame or whatever. It was in Tagalog, so I didn't know what it was saying. But like I said, from what I could tell, it seemed to be a decent frame. But I was still like, man, it's cheap though. And then, so yesterday, I was really antsy because I was supposed to go riding yesterday, but I couldn't because my bike. I could have removed everything and put my old dropper, but I had my wheel off, and I just had like my shop was in a mess. And by the time I got to that point, I was just burnt, tired, and so I didn't go riding. So I was starting to get a little antsy, and I was like, I need to figure out something. So I researched the frame, and I'm like, it looks pretty good. I was like, well, I'll go check it out, but maybe see if they got something else, right? So I bring my bike, but I didn't bring my dropper poster, but I took pictures of the size to confirm. But I should have brought it. Now, again, I don't know. I never claimed to be the sharpest knife in the drawer, that's for sure. But man, lately it seems like. But anyway, so go to the shop. She shows me the frame, and I'm like, man, it looks pretty good. I mean, you can tell it's not, specialized or whatever, but it's good, right? You could just. And she says like that one is the best frame that they have for my kind of riding, my style of riding. So I was just like, oh. But I looked at a couple other frames. I was like, well, what do you got for like maybe double that price? I could go like 7,000-8,000 pesos or something. What else you got? And was kind of looking at some other ones, but there were just certain things that didn't. I don't know. So I kept coming back to this frame. So I ultimately was like, you know what? All right, let's do it. I'll just do it. So I picked this frame. It's a Kens. That's what it is. Kens. Kens frame. I think they just do frames. So I left my bike there. I wish I would have brought my dropper post. I'll talk about that later. And we went to the mall while they, took everything off my old frame, put it on this new frame. Everything but the dropper post. So while we're there, they call me and they say that they don't have the connectors for the brakes, because I had like some generic brakes on. They were hydraulic, but they weren't. I can't remember the brand name. And they're like, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, but let me guess, you have Shimano brakes there. She's like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, fine. I was wanting to put Shimano brakes on there eventually, but I tried to do it in increments, not spend all my money at once. So I was like, all right, just put them on. But then now I got, that's done, I guess. And then, so they got it all done, put the new Shimano brakes on, and everything looks good. But then they didn't have a new chain, because, so this bike is longer than my Specialized. So the chain was too short. But the chain was like brand new. I just bought it a month ago. And I had the rest of it at home. I just had to connect, and they didn't have 11-speed chain. They only had 12. So that's fine. So I had to put the dropper post on myself because I left it at home, and then put the chain on, right? So I get home. I'm like, here we go. I'm getting ready. And then it's like, so this one has the internal. Now it's not like nicer bikes, maybe like carbon bikes. They have like the channel runs through the frame. So when you put your cable, it'll just run right through and come out the other end. Easy peasy, right? Easy peasy Japanesey. I think that's better than lemon squeezy. But anyway. But this one doesn't. I mean, it has the openings to stick them in, but then getting it out on the other end, that's a different freaking story. So I knew, it was going to be whatever. So I tried a couple of different things. None of it was working. So finally, I had a few magnets, that I was like, man, I don't know if it's powerful enough. But so what I did is I got an Allen key that I don't really use. I cut it, so it's just a straight whatever. And then I taped it to a bootlace. And then I put my bike up on the end, and I dropped it down in there, and I used the magnet, and I'll sit there and listen for it to kind of kink, because it would, pull it, and then I would just move it towards the hole. And then sure enough, it came out the hole. So I was just like, oh, thank you, Jesus, right? So that wasn't so bad. Got that in there, and then, but then I remember I said I cut the sleeves for the cable. So I put it back together, but I ended up not needing it really except for one. So I messed with that. I had to get like this hard rubber kind of adapter thing. It's not for this. It was just something I found to connect the cables, and I just wrapped it in some electrical tape. And so after I would say about 2 hours, I got the dropper post in and working good. And then had to get the chain. So then I had to connect the chain that I removed when I bought it brand new, connect that back, and then run it through, measure it, disconnect, whatever. And so it was a hassle. I mean, like I said, I'm mechanically inclined, but I've only done stuff a few times. And so it's like, I haven't done it so many times where I'm just like, Oh, there you go, done. I have to kind of, what? I got to refigure it out again. And it was just like, oh, so finally I got done though. And I felt so much better. But I haven't ridden it yet. I asked my bike buddies. We have a GC, and I was like, hey, anybody want to go riding? Nobody answered. So I went to Mass this morning instead. But tomorrow, whether I'm by myself or not, I'm going to take it riding. But I'm still a little scared just because it seems to be fine. But man, I don't know. We'll see. I hope I have this frame for years. Riding it, no problems. I hope so. I mean, I'm never going to take it off a huge jump anyway. So, I mean, I'm sure maybe if I went off a big drop off or whatever, possibly, like 4 foot or more. Maybe not though. It'd probably be more of the wheels or something. But the nice thing is though, so I have 27.5 size wheels, which that's the biggest I could get on my old frame. Or I could have put a 29er in the front, but so now though I can put 29s on. So I will eventually, not right now. My wheels and stuff are not brand new, but they're not old either. So I'll wait a little while and then put some 29ers on and Bob's your uncle, right? Dude, where'd that saying come from? Anybody know? Because I say that occasionally, but then my kids would just be like, what the crap is that? And because it freaks them out so much, I say it all the time now. I would say it just because they're like, what the crap? You're stupid, Dad. Like, what does that mean? I don't get it. And so now I say it all the time. Bob's your uncle. I know it's like a British thing. It just means like good to go, but I don't know where it stems from either. But I've been talking for a half hour, so let me know in the comments where Bob's your uncle came from. And send me an email, where. Send me a comment, a like, whatever. Anyway, if you got any stories of your own regarding your mountain bike or something, let me know. You got questions about what it's like living over here for me in the Philippines? Let me know. All right. Again, thanks for hanging out. God bless, and I'll see you next time. All right. Bye. You just put yourself through another episode of The Objective Jerk. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Please email me at theobjectivejerk@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, comment, wherever you find this, follow. It all helps. But thanks again, and I'll see you next time.